Hey everyone, and welcome to the first Wacky Racers rave coverage, where we will talk all things F1. I'll introduce myself. I'm Ewan, and we've got Ryan, who you both met us before in the Discord, and we've got a special guest, Dom, as well, which is a friend of ours.
Yeah, so we just wanted to record a little coverage of between each race, basically to talk about the race and the projects. And I thought for our first episode we'd bring along my friend Dom, so we can send all the questions his way. And if he gets anything wrong, you lot can tear him apart rather than me and you. We're gonna have a chat about what we saw last weekend and see where the conversation goes.
We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming race and a little bit about Wacky Racers.
Cool. Let's get started.
I think let's just dive into what we've just seen. First race, Bahrain. There's a lot of drama, a lot of stuff that went on. Red Bull didn't finish. Ferrari are now back. McLaren, what did Lando finished 8th? No, is it Ricciardo 18th, Lando 15th, something like that?
It's Norris 14th. Oh, it was Norris 13th and Ricciardo 14th, I believe.
So that was an absolute disaster.
14th, 15th.
Yeah, well, double together in the back line.
Yeah, that was probably. I mean, from testing, we saw hints that they weren't going to be that fast, but I think that was one of the biggest shocks from the race for me.
Definitely.
McLaren, I didn't think they lacked that much pace.
To be completely honest, coming into the season, I would have pegged Alpine to be the strugglers purely because of like the internal corporate issues they've had. They got rid of Martin Pikowski.
Yeah.
Lauren Rossi doesn't seem amazingly suited to the CEO role, but they've had a really good summer. And going into it, you'd favour McLaren to actually have pulled something off and actually produce a decent car. I mean, it's only been going better in the last few seasons.
I was going to say, because it feels like they came back a little bit. Ricciardo got his win at Monza, and it felt like they were creeping back a little bit. Now they're just back to square one.
The thing is, it's a season where a lot's going to change over the first half, like a lot more than you'd expect. So we can't draw any major conclusions now. I think a lot of teams have a lot more to give. So it's definitely not the final pecking order.
Exactly. I think we're going to get a 2012 season really, where we're going to turn up to every race and there's going to be 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams that are going to be competitive based on the race conditions and the track layout. That's what it's going to vary upon, and then whoever wins it is going to be the most consistent.
Yeah, for sure. Because when we were talking earlier, you were saying Haas actually seemed to look decent because they've got a Ferrari engine, right?
Pretty much everything with that Ferrari engine has done alright so far. Yeah. Even in terms of reliability, it just seems to be a lot further on than some of the other engines.
I mean, 5 finishes in the top 10 kind of demonstrates that as well.
Because it surprised me when Carlos, they finished Bahrain with a 1-2, Leclerc first, and then Carlos. I was surprised when in Carlos's interview he was saying that he was slow. He thought he wasn't hitting the pace that he wanted to.
I kind of understand that in the sense of you're in that second seat alongside an already established superstar in a top team. It's like Nico Rosberg's syndrome. If you're not beating your teammate, you're in a constant state of this is not good, I'm doing awfully, because it's not relative to the rest of the field, it is exclusively relative to your teammate.
Yeah. He almost set the bar a bit too high by finishing with higher points last year than Charles, because a lot of people came into this year touting Sainz as the World Driver Champion candidate.
Exactly, yeah. And last year it seemed more of Sainz had higher highs, but he definitely had lower lows than Charles.
Yeah. What's clear is, I mean, I know a lot of people are drawing this conclusion, but Charles is the fastest driver over one lap, and Sainz does seem to have better consistency.
Well, that's what I'm guessing. They've put Ferrari have not put all their eggs in one basket, but I don't actually know the exact number, but he's a 5-year deal. He's a lot. He's got a bigger deal than Carlos, right? He essentially seems from the public eyes, he is the main man.
Yeah. On Carlos's first day, Bernardo just turned around to him and said, "By the way, we might want Mick in this car moving forward." So
right, okay. I heard a little bit of that. So what happened there? If you know a little bit more about it.
It wasn't like a kind of de facto, you're going to be out of this team in X amount of years, but he was just basically saying what kind of everybody knows really is that Ferrari still have one eye on Schumacher.
Yeah, because I'm guessing that's to bring it back to the old days to kind of.
It's just for marketability, and the guy actually seems pretty decent. I mean, obviously, he's still not had a chance to demonstrate it, and even in this race, you could argue that if he doesn't get turned around by Ocon, he could be facing a points finish.
So Boiler Tim, who is a member in the Wacky Races Discord, actually asked a question. So talking about Mick Schumacher and him maybe becoming good, what do we think about his performance in the Haas car and his unfortunate start?
I mean, he's obviously had no opportunity to demonstrate his quality in that Haas. I mean, it's up there with one of the cars that are just percentage-wise, just miles off the rest of the grid. I mean, for me, if they didn't score points in Hungary last season, they were never going to score points. That kind of race facilitates unlikely and slow cars scoring points. And based on how badly it went, I mean, he was getting done by Verstappen in half a car. Yeah. And that kind of demonstrates where they were last season. So anything from last season should only be put down to Mick's a young rookie driver in an essentially shit car.
But the only thing we know for sure is that he consistently outqualified Mazepin, but whether that says more about Mazepin or Mick, I'm not sure.
I think you could qualify Mazepin fairly consistently.
Haas seem, I don't want to say a meme team, but they just seem like a team that everyone kind of digs into because they haven't done very well. They didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they had a really good start and then they just become really shit.
Yeah, basically. I can't remember exactly which year they came in, but in 2018, they really announced themselves as actually a competent team. But I feel like the structure they had with regards to Dallara making almost all of their chassis, that's not really sustainable moving forward. Sure, the Ferrari tyres really helped that and assisted in them getting a kind of a quick competitiveness.
Yeah.
But it wasn't sustainable, and that was kind of showed up when COVID hit.
Yeah.
I mean, they had an unexpectedly bad 2019 car, and that's been fairly well accounted for.
Yeah.
But when the money started to dry up, it really exposed the cracks in that team.
Yeah, so on the topic of Haas, the amazing drive by Kevin Magnussen, you know, he started 7th on the grid, and then obviously made up 2 places. It didn't look like he was struggling, but it looked like, you know, he was coming down a few, and then he just brought it back and ended up finishing 5th, and it was a pretty unreal drive from him, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously made a couple of places because of the Red Bulls, but the fact that he didn't get overtaken over and over again is a good sign.
Yeah, good scrap with Gasly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he showed some racing. He's not been racing for a while, so it's as good a performance as we could hope for from him, I think.
It's like a sick comeback story.
Magnussen still has this kind of reputation as just, well, to be honest, a knobhead.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel maybe that's only half a story. I mean, you could label half the grid as knobheads and, you know, arrogant and ruthless, but equally, those are kind of prerequisites to be in the sport.
That's what it takes.
Exactly, yeah. And we're still talking, and I think people, in all that discussion, it's lost that he's actually fairly quick. I mean, we're talking about a guy who got a podium on his debut with McLaren in 2014. Yes. I think a lot of people forget about that, really. Yeah. And then people always go on about Hulkenberg, and, you know, relative to Magnussen, you can argue that, Hulkenberg is the better driver, but Magnussen has had that machinery at times. I mean, early 2014 McLaren were, and I mean extremely early 2014 McLaren were quite respectable. Yeah. And he did actually demonstrate some pace in that car as well. It's just obviously had to move aside because Alonso was coming back into that car. Yeah. And even when they were performing well, I mean, like in Drive to Survive, they wank him off a bit, but he did have some genuinely good performances, like the Haas performance in Austria. Sure, that may have been down to some Mercedes DNFs, but even then, it was still a good performance. And overall, holistically speaking, that 2018 season was still very good for K-Mag. Yeah. It's only when the machinery dropped off did he actually start to drop off as well with Grosjean. And then because he's teammates with Grosjean, and they had so many incidences in 2019, you start to get lumped in that same group as liability.
What about now? How do you think he's going to do now?
Well, like I said earlier, it's going to be a season that ebbs and flows, and we're going to have a constantly developing competitive order, I reckon, at very least. So I think I can be confident in saying that Haas will be there fighting for points. It's just whether the highs of Bahrain are going to be proportionate to the rest of the season. Like, are they going to be there constantly? Are they going to be fighting for the minor places with Alpha and, you know, Alpine?
There was a little bit of hype around them before the actual Bahrain race, right?
Going into testing, everybody thought, oh yeah, well, Haas is a team that can do well because they sacrificed their 2021 season so they could focus on this car.
Yeah.
Sure, Ferrari did to an extent, and even every team that wasn't in a direct competition with another team last year did. But Haas has had objectively the most time spent on this 2022 car, so the feeling was coming into it, it's like, well, they have to make a good car because they spent so much time on it.
I think we can all agree that Bahrain was a pretty exciting race for the first race of the season. Ferrari back, won 1-2, that was exciting. Unfortunate that Red Bull, both of the cars retired. What was it? Was it the fuel? Was it what was it with the Red Bull? What was it that was the problem?
This might be outdated at some point soon, but the latest word I got on it was that initially during the race, everybody thought it was a loose wheel. Like instantly when Verstappen's issue emerged, Martin Brundle was like, "Oh, it's loose wheel head. He's gonna have to retire." And then he soldiered on for a bit, and then everybody was like, "Oh, it's power steering." And then Max comes on the radio saying it's the battery. So then the same thing, allegedly the same thing happened to Perez.
And that's why he spun out.
Exactly, yeah. So seemingly the car just, according to Perez at very least, the car just turned off.
Yeah.
So then we get to the next day, everybody's turning around saying it's this fuel issue, this fuel system issue. But then apparently Red Bull have refuted that and are currently doing an open investigation into it.
Okay.
But I've not seen any update from the fact an internal investigation has been opened.
It was quite an exciting moment for, well, I myself I feel, and it's hard to say this right now, but I do support. I have a team that I like. I like McLaren, but I am a fan of Hamilton. You know, I'm British. I think why didn't he? You're going to disagree because you like Red Bull, but why can't he be? I wanted him to be the 8th. I feel like. We won't go into too much about that. We won't go into too much of a discussion what happened in Abu Dhabi, but it was this exciting thing that Hamilton, actually got pole, and with their car struggling as well. Maybe we should talk if you know anything. Look, what is it with Mercedes? What is going on?
It's just seemingly. I think people want to oversimplify it, and I think I'll be guilty of this now. But it seems a lot of it is down to the porpoising, and equally, it's not necessarily as good as a car as Ferrari and Red Bull. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, guy pulls out Lewis Hamilton specials every qualifying session.
Yeah.
And he was almost 7/10 off pole.
They'd sorted the porpoising though by the race.
But that's the thing.
Then they still didn't have pace.
Even after the race, everybody was still like, "Oh, porpoising." So I think that's where I say it's an oversimplification. But maybe it's just not as deep as the car's not that fast.
I think it's more that. I don't think it's a pinpoint issue. It seems like it's lacking in a lot of areas, to be honest. And it seems like they kind of dealt with the porpoising and it still wasn't there.
I mean, they came out at testing with no side pods and it was striking. And personally, I was a bit worried that we're going to get to qualifying and then all of a sudden Mercedes are half a second in front of everybody.
That's what everyone expected.
Yeah, same, exactly. They were even in interviews that I've seen with George and Hamilton, they were very playing off the fact that we are not faster than Ferrari, and even Carlos said, didn't he? He was like, "This is just Mercedes bullshit again. They're saying this, and then come Bahrain, they're going to be rapid," and it just wasn't that. It just.
I like to think that they were playing themselves down, and then they got to the weekend, and they're like, "Oh shit, we've actually not got half a second in our back pockets."
Yeah, that's how it seems to me.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Aston Martin at all?
We can keep that in and then just move on.
Yeah. So what would you say your main highlight of the weekend was?
Well, I'm a Ferrari fan, so it's obvious, but Bottas probably. Yeah. I mean, I really, really wanted him to beat those Mercs. I really did, and he got halfway there, so I thought that was a fantastic performance, and it's a shame about his difficult start, because I would have wanted to see what he could do if he was up there at the front from lap one.
But maybe Zhou's performance, not only Bottas, but Zhou's performance demonstrates how fast that car is. If Zhou, a rookie, He's stored. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, Tsunoda scored points in his in his first race last season, but that was still a testament to how fast the AlphaTauri was last year.
Yeah.
And if Zhou's competitively fighting for points, sure, he may have only got points because there was a double DNF ahead of him.
Yeah.
But that, you take what you can get.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not going to get picky about points.
I saw the F1 official power rankings earlier. I don't know if you pay any attention to them.
Oh, only when they pop on it on Insta.
They pegged him higher than Bottas, and those are meant to be kind of representative without factoring in the speed of your car. So F1 seem to think he's fast.
F1 wants us to seem to think he's fast. Yeah. They're going to give us another China race if he is fast.
Yeah, for sure. I've got to. I think, I got to agree with you there. Like Bottas's performance was sick, and to it was just he loses his seat at Mercedes and finishes above George, right? So
it qualifies above George.
He qualified above George. So that was kind of a nice little performance, and Alfa Romeo could look pretty strong this season. What about you, Dom? What do you think your highlight of Bahrain was?
I'd say it came just after the first round of pit stops, where Verstappen popped out right behind Leclerc, and we got 3 consecutive laps of just pure battle in between Max and Charles, and that is representative of the new regulations. It seems, even anecdotally and visually, that it is doing the job, where the cars can get closer. I mean, think how many battles we saw where it was just, tit for tat.
Yeah.
People just going at each other, people swapping positions every lap.
Yeah, you could, like you're saying, you could really see that while you're just sitting down watching it. You could feel that the sport is. I know you can only take what we've seen from the first race, but it seems very competitive, and like.
I don't know if you saw that clip of Max finding Leclerc after the race. I think Leclerc was mid-interview and Max kind of interrupts him to shake hands, and they were both like, "That was fun."
Yeah,
Yeah, they seem to enjoy themselves.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
Yeah, I think a lot more to come.
I mean, it's kind of heartening because, I mean, I'm still relatively new to the sport in a sense. I mean, I started watching it at the beginning of the 2018 season, and then once I started to educate myself about it and started to learn about it, you're actually like, oh shit, there's a reason why the top 3 teams are finishing like a minute and sometimes lapping 7 other teams.
Yes.
I mean, sure, it's because of the facilities and resources, and because those top 3 teams got into a position where they were the most competitive. But if you can't race them, if you can't follow people, that's a fundamental issue.
Yeah.
I heard the regulations between 2017 and 2021 referred to as a beautiful mistake because they are, arguably, apart from the Ferrari F2004, they are the fastest. The 2020 cars were the fastest of generation, at some tracks they were just amazing. Yeah. Like Mugello, so much of it was flat out, and they were taking. I mean, I could name every race on the calendar at 2020, and how many records were broken. From a spectacle of speed, that was amazing and brilliant to see. Then we'd see that in quali. The ridiculous times people were setting. We'd get into the race, and then suddenly everybody's 3 seconds apart. There's no overtakes, and you're begging for a safety car. And that's not really how it should be.
It's not racing, is it? Well, it is, but it's just like...
It turns
into competitive.
Turns into a procession.
Yes, definitely. And it does kind of feel... It doesn't... It's I don't know if I want to call it boring, but when you've just got only two teams in the whole paddock that's only competitive, which was obviously Mercedes and Red Bull, it gets repetitive, and it's just like, I want to see something different. I think
all any F1 fan wanted from this season was to see a few more people and a few more constructors in the fight,
and see the talent that F1 has, not just Lewis and Verstappen.
And that's the thing, especially during these regulations, even from 2014 until now, it's still your pace and how you're viewed is to an extent more down to the speed of your car than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were just saying about Haas and Schumacher, it's hard to demonstrate pace in a car that doesn't have any.
Yeah. I mean, but it's part of the point of F1 is the car.
Oh yeah.
It's not, we don't want them all sat in the same car at the same time. So
Oh no, undoubtedly.
It's about finding the balance.
Yeah, because
If you want a spec series, you should go and watch NASCAR.
Yeah, because it's not like every driver gets the same car. You know, it is sort of that build up of who can build the best car, and that's where you do get these McLaren finishing really below the far end of the grid because they just haven't built a great car. And you do see, AlphaTauri, they seem pretty fast as well, and that's due to them building a good car. So I think, like you're saying, it does come into play, but. So coming away from Bahrain and looking at the next race, Saudi Arabia, what's your predictions? How do you think the weekend's going to go?
Ferrari 1-2.
I reckon it's going to be absolutely mental.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously last year's cars are still by a fair distance fast. Last year's cars are still faster than this year's cars, so that's going to change Saudi completely. I mean, we're going to go from most corners being flat out to God knows what lap times we're going to be setting and what speeds we're going to be setting relative to last year. So I think the race is going to be carnage, especially how, essentially narrow the track is. Just, one mistake, you're in the wall. I mean, Max demonstrated that last year.
Yeah. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm literally, as soon as the Bahrain race ended, I was just like, bring me on to the next. Like, I want to see, Ferrari might come back with another 1-2, or, Mercedes potentially could bring it back, or Red Bull. Red Bull did look so strong. They did. We can't all disagree that they did look strong until they had their problems. So hopefully they come back and be competitive. So for Saudi Arabia, what's your prediction, Ryan? What do you think?
I'm gonna go with the 1-2.
Really?
Let's put Sainz first, Leclerc second.
Do you think that's going to be consistent throughout the season, or?
No.
Okay.
Sainz is really going to need to get his elbows out to beat Leclerc. Like,
yes.
I referenced Rosberg and Hamilton earlier in the season. Sainz is going to need to make it that battle if he wants to battle Charles for the championship this year.
He's definitely in the mindset, because you can see how disappointed he was not even qualifying right behind him. He was still upset.
He was, yeah. He's got it. It looks like he's got the going in to actually push for it, because I think Ferrari in the best place this season to actually go for it.
Exactly, and in a wider sense, in this season, he's still fighting for his Ferrari career. Sure, he's demonstrated a lot last year, but Ferrari aren't going to complain if he's going to be second fiddle to Charles as long as he's picking up good results and good points.
Yeah.
But long term, he doesn't want to become a Barrichello where they're going to look to a younger kid such as Mick and think maybe he would do a better job given the circumstances.
I think if he keeps it right behind Leclerc, I think that's where they want him.
Yeah.
I think if he's happy to play the Bottas, they'll keep him.
They'll let him. Yeah. Well, they Ferrari always have been streaming out for a Bottas car, but I mean the irony of the joke is that Ferrari can only run one car.
So Dom, what's your predictions?
I still think we're going to get a significant shake-up of a competitive order, but I think the constants are going to be Red Bull versus Ferrari. So I'm predicting another Max Leclerc battle.
Yeah.
Mercedes will be back soon, but it's just whether it's soon enough for them to still be competing for the championship, and I'm not sure.
Exactly. I mean, even if they become strong in like 5 or 6 races, it might be too late.
Well, I don't think it's an if. I think it's a when.
No, I agree. I think that's fair. Yeah,
I agree with you too. I think Ferrari are gonna do well again. I think Red Bull are gonna do well again. They did well. Yeah, they DNS, but and I'm hoping McLaren have sorted their shit out and they're gonna actually finish at least top 10. Like it, I know you're a little Lando hater, yeah, but it's actually sad to see someone who I generally believe has got a little bit of talent at the back of the grid. It's
the nature of F1 is you're always going to get people with a decent amount of talent at the back of the grid. Yes. I mean, like look at Albon.
Yeah, you're very. Exactly.
I mean, look at Vettel when he comes back to this Aston Martin as well.
I feel like Albon did half decent with the car he's got, right?
Good qualifying performance as well.
For sure.
I mean, considering where Latifi was, he did very well to get it into Q2.
100%,
and he might have had a respectable chance. Maybe not. I mean, probably still would have gone out. But if he had a second run, then who knows what would have happened.
So based on what we've talked about, Ryan, we'll go with you first. What is your prediction for the season? What will we go with? We'll go with
World Drivers Champion, Constructors Champion, surprise winner.
Yeah. Let's go for Charles.
Yeah.
Ferrari. And surprise winner. My surprise winner. Bottas.
I was going to pick Bottas, but I still think Bottas is a good choice.
Yeah, I think Bottas is a good choice. With my predictions, so we'll go. I think Max could take it again. I think Max could go for it again. I do think I don't know why I don't know why I think this, but why did I just felt more excited about the Red Bull car in this Bahrain. Is that bad for me to say? But when I was watching the race, I was just so excited. I thought Verstappen looked strong. I thought he was coming back as as champion, and that car was.
It's a strong image, that number one on a car, because we haven't seen that since
something different.
We haven't seen that since Vettel in 2013, because Lewis has never taken the number one, and Rosberg retired straight after it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Max takes it again. Max takes it again for the driver. I think Ferrari will win the constructors, and I don't know. I think Drives to Survive really made me like Tsunoda. Like, he went from like Tsunoda, his attitude looks stinky, and then it went. But I don't know if Drive to Survive make it look like this way. But it looked like his attitude wasn't well towards F1, and then it just seemed like he actually really wanted to. So I think Tsunoda is the surprise winner.
Oh, they might as well have put the Benny Hill theme tune to Tsunoda's episode. I mean, the amount of like slides they show where he goes, "Sorry," or "Fucking idiot."
Yeah, he's a character. He's definitely a character. But maybe I just would like to see him do well, because I think like he is a talented driver, and AlphaTauri is a good.
Yeah, I think I can see that definitely. I mean, he looked, even on qualifying pace, he looked a lot closer to Gasly, and he had a very strong finish to 2021. He finished fourth in Abu Dhabi. Absolutely did Bottas into that Abu Dhabi chicane in the middle of the straights. So with my predictions, I'd say, I mean, maybe it's a tad biased, but probably Max drivers, but Leclerc's going to be breathing down his neck, if not leading him most of the championship.
For sure.
I'd say Ferrari championship. I think that overall, Sainz is still going to be up there, challenging for wins. And driver-wise, they have one of the strongest pairings on the grid.
100%.
I mean, maybe Hamilton and Russell rivals that, but all-round demonstrated ability in top cars, Sainz and Leclerc, you don't really need to look further than that. Yeah. And then surprise winner, you've taken both of my suggestions. I initially thought Bottas, and then I was like, Tsunoda's a lot closer. So I'm going to go completely left field, arguably on the hype train, and say Magnussen.
Yeah, it's like it's destined to happen.
I would love to see it. I wouldn't know what I would pay. Sorry, I would pay good money to see Gunter Steiner's reaction to a race win.
Yes, yeah, he is such a character as well. Yeah, same. Yeah. That's something I want to see.
He is literally a character now, though. Him and Horner, they've decided, let's just become...
Exactly. It's the Christian Horner story, sponsored by Netflix.
Literally, yeah.
Gunter Steiner is Christian Horner, and Christian Horner is Gunter Steiner. And one of the Spice Girls is the woman he loves.
And it's like they're trying to get Toto in this, but he just doesn't want to be involved.
I put on series 4, and then within 2 episodes, it's like the bloody Christian Horner reality show, and he's like... Right, it's like, I don't want to see him on a run. What relevance does that have?
There's a lot. There's a lot of. It is like the Christian Horner show. Yeah, exactly.
At least they don't make up lies about Christian Horner as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just have a podcast where we just complain about Drive to Survive, and we systematically go through all the episodes.
Yeah. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Spoke about Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, our predictions. So I think we could probably go on to next. Maybe we wanted to do a little section of this podcast, because it's not a podcast. We wanted to do a little section on Wacky Races and the project a little bit. We've hit 480 people in our Discord. You know, we've got some regular people in there, and we just wanted to talk a little bit about the project, just in case some of you weren't really fully familiar with what we're trying to do here.
More of just an informal update for anyone who made it this far through the podcast. Shout out
not
to
a podcast. We refuse to call it a podcast, but demonstrably it is.
The exciting things I think about the exciting things about the project now, you know, we've got Fuel out, which is our Discord currency that you can collect daily. We've got some cool features coming out for that. We've got the casino coming out, the fantasy league, the first race is just gone, so you know we can see like how the leaderboard's shaping up. It looks like the teams are very. Actually, I was actually very surprised of the teams, to find how different the teams actually were, and obviously with like the majority had Lando.
Well, everyone had Max.
Max was my star driver, unfortunately.
Yeah, like everyone had Max. So there's some disruptions in the points. So
I want to thank everyone who's been getting involved with it. I want to thank everyone for helping us bug fix. It's nice to see the fruit of our labour, basically. Everyone using and enjoying the fantasy league. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think I can rightfully say that I think a lot of people in the Discord are actually enjoying the fantasy. You know, it's something different.
So we have a couple sneak peeks out now, which you can see on our Twitter and in our Discord. We're really excited to show you more, but this is what you get for now. You can use your imagination for the rest.
My favourite has got to be the blueprint. I just love that idea, and like showing how the NFT is going to come together, the art's going to come together. I think that's a pretty good representation of what we can give you now, but also the helmet, man. I love the helmets. The Kitty helmet is the best. It's sick, and we're really excited to show you like the final product. They're dope. Like when we were creating them at the start, we couldn't wait to pick out which one we were going to use because we were so happy with the art, and I'm excited for you guys to see it as well.
The aim is just to really please racing fans. We just want something that's a tribute to racing, tribute to the racing community, and I hope we can deliver that.
Racing fans are very hard to please usually.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Although having said that, how great is our Discord? Like a lot of these racing communities are so toxic.
Everyone's saying GM. We've got a very we've got really positive community.
I've not seen a bad comment on that.
No, we've got a really positive community. We've got people who have made proper like genuine friendships in our community, and that's cool to see. And
that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
You know, we always base our project on these 3 pillars that we've got. And the first one that we focusing on is community, and we love what we've built already, and we can't wait for more people to come through. We love it, and me and Ryan are always in there chatting about and stuff. Shout out to Swally.